The theme is quite simple. It's that lots of tiny little interactions often contribute to extraordinary moments.
You know, I really wanted us to begin the time together by thinking about where we are today, personally, because that's really what my life has become about, and I'm so fortunate to have that be a possibility. So what life is about for me is about service, and I have a whole new life now. I've had a few lives. I consider this a whole new life that I've had for about almost 6 years now, since I've been on my own, and my causes have expanded to the point where my whole life is basically social activism and philanthropy, which is such a gift. I was born in a time that there were still civil rights issues, and so my mother was Irish-English and my father African-American. So I think I was born an activist because walking around the world and feeling different, being treated differently, my activism started as a child. My mother was such an activist and always for the rights of those who were less than in society. So I learned from her, and then my father was this amazing, strong man who would say things like, if anyone bothers you, pick up a brick and hit him over the head, which, there were not a lot of bricks lying around San Francisco. But, I had this sort of take care of yourself, and yet it's also, we are one with all people, and yet I wasn't treated that way in the world. So in my home, I had this wonderful, nurturing, loving environment, but in the world, I was looked upon as less than. So I think my activism began as a child. All children, we all come here with some history and some forward motion that's going to happen. And I think it's so important to listen to our children and to watch them. I know that many of you probably have children, and some of them might be grown like mine. Mine are 22, 27, and 29. And they're the same people now that they were when they were little. It's pretty darn fascinating. We come here with these amazing souls and beings and energy, and my role was to nurture that and to help each of them find themselves, really. And you get pushed away as a mom. I don't know about dads, but I know that you get pushed away because sometimes we forget to let go. And so my children, the biggest lesson they've taught me is to let go. Fame is such an illusion, right? Fame means that you're recognized in the world. But fame sometimes switches and people begin to hold you in a place that is, first of all, not realistic and better than yourself. I'm not a fan of that. In my former life, there was just so much that was uncomfortable for me. I don't like being put in the front of the line. I don't like given a table at a restaurant before you, if I got there after you. So those are the parts of fame I don't like. What we can do with our fame is wonderful. If you have that sort of prominence in the world where people will look up to you and listen to you and you're doing something that's positive and beneficial for all of humanity, then it's a beautiful thing. So about 3.5 years ago, a young man who was born and raised in San Rafael, Jason Doherty, came to me and told me about a school he had just started in Nanyuki, Kenya. It's called Daraja Academy. And he came to my office here in Marin and he showed me a little video on his computer of the girls, and I was hooked. I said, yes, girls' education. These girls would not be able to go to secondary school, high school, without this free boarding school. And it started off with 26 girls, and now there are 104. These girls really care about their education. I really don't see any. I work in a lot of schools in the Bay Area, and I don't see a lot of kids with a passion for school that I see at Daraja. These girls are in school from sunup to sundown, and then they go to study hall. They want to succeed. So they're getting all this information, and then they take it back to their families and their tribes. It's very true. They are so respected in their communities, but they are also facing an uphill battle because they don't all live together. These girls are from about 28 different tribes, and some of them are warring tribes. So they make sure that all of the girls mix in their dorms and that they learn peace and they learn individuals. So they're not looking at a swath of a tribe and saying, no, we don't like them. No, I know this girl from this tribe. And they really want these girls to have a solid foundation and a solid moral character, which I find very lovely. And I think it teaches them a lot of confidence. The girls are so connected to each other and helping each other. And they're taught that by Jenny and Jason Doherty, the founders. They're taught that if one girl is suffering, you know, they're all suffering. And so it's very universal in the way that they're not to compete with each other, they're to compete with themselves.
What was the first trip like?
For me, it was meeting the girls and having them accept me and embrace me and love me and getting to know them. But it was also my own personal experience of getting out of my comfort element. It's so wonderful to be out of one's element and to be in an environment where you're able to appreciate how other people live and how other people function and survive and what's important to them. So my first trip, I was just in the wonder of Kenya. It's an amazing country. I'm also on the board of Artists for New South Africa, which is a social activist group that started in 1989 when there was still apartheid. So we went to see a lot of the programs that we support, and we got to sit with Mandela. That was awesome. But my son Salvador opened Mandela's cell when we visited Robben Island. And I tried to imagine myself caring enough about something that I was imprisoned for 26 years, and I was able to maintain my dignity and my consciousness and my will to survive and my care for other people. So that was a transformative trip, not only because of seeing the work we were doing with HIV/AIDS orphans and families outside of Durban, but I think recognizing the potential that we all have as human beings to do something great. There's so much to do in the world, and it has to come from within us. But if you're destined, if you're on a path to do something, you know, there's no stopping you.